everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to any of you that are new here. This week's video I actually filmed last night, or thought I filmed last night. The first bit went horrendously wrong. The phone rang, the dog barked, the door rang, and then my phone died, but I had no idea and I just kept on doing the video, so what a waste of time that was. Today's video that I am redoing is all about gift wrapping plants for Christmas. I've tried loads of ways, but this way is probably the best one that I've found. It's really easy, and I think out of about 300 plants that I've sent out, touch wood, only 2 or 3 have ever come back damaged. So I would say it's a pretty effective way of doing it. The plants that I used in last night's video, the one that didn't make it, would actually have been a much better example of a plant to pack up because it was a monstera. For this video today, I need to pack up this snake plant, so I'm going to be using this, but the method that I use for packing can be applied to basically any plant. Hopefully it will help. Another thing I asked you to do this week was to send in some houseplant confessions, just because it's nearly Christmas. It would be quite fun to throw some of them in there. Some of the responses I got were absolutely brilliant. So the first one was the one that I got from multiple people, which is, I hide houseplants from my partner so he doesn't realise how many I have. Oh, there's a plane. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Probably about 14 or 15 people sent that same one in, so you're not alone. So, with the plant packing, I always try to do things as plastic free and environmentally friendly as possible, but unfortunately my brown paper tape hasn't arrived today, so I'm going to be using normal sellotape. The first thing you want to do before you do anything else is make sure that your plants had a really good water. I always try to do it at least 24 hours before I start packing, just so it's got time to drain. The worst thing would be lots of sloshy, muddy water coming out when it's in its box. So this one's had a good water, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my tape and I'm just essentially going to cover the soil in it to stop any of the soil falling out if the box gets knocked about a bit. Just putting it over and taping it around the sides. And that is what it will look like. It just means that if your plant is to go upside down at some point, all the soil's not going to come out and it's just all going to be held in place, so when the person opens it, they're not going to have soil everywhere. I'm going to do another houseplant confession. I dropped my girlfriend's plant by accident and it snapped, so I glued the stem back together. I would say Christmas is coming up, get her a new plant. I love these. So the next thing that I will do, I use corrugated cardboard, but you can just reuse cardboard from another box. I will make sure that it's the same height as the box that I'm using. So it's going to sit level with the top of the box. But what I will do is I'll just place my plants there, so it's got room at the bottom and at the top, so it's almost suspended on the cardboard. Can you see that? Yeah. And I'm just going to tape it down so that it's really kind of securely held onto that cardboard. The reason that I do this is just so that if you're sending it by post, it's not going to be whacking against the bottom or the top of the box, it's just going to be held in place. So I'm literally just taping the pot to the cardboard. And once you've taped it down, I'll always just do the same to the bottom of the pot. So you tape the bottom of the pot down and then you tape the top down as well. There we go, silence. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to roll it up really, really gently. And as I say, with a snake plant, this is quite easy to do because obviously it all goes up. But if you've got a plant like this that's got a lot more foliage and you don't want it to just be squashed, I would suggest just very, very gently lifting the leaves up so they point upwards in the cardboard and rolling it up like that. That means that you won't get any breakages of the leaves if it's bumped about a bit during transit. So yeah, I'm just going to roll this plant up. Any leaves that are sticking out, I'm just going to very, very, very gently just tuck in and roll. And I'm just going to fix it with some tape. You can also use string. As I say, I usually try to use eco-friendly tape, but it hasn't arrived yet. And the thing with this now is that when you put it into the box, it's obviously the same height as the box. So when the lid's closed, it's going to essentially hold it in place. If the box is thrown about a bit, it's not going to fly everywhere. It's going to be very securely held in the box. If you're sending your plant by post, especially at this time of year, you need to make sure, especially if it's a tropical plant, that it stays fairly warm. It's not gonna freeze, basically. I will just insulate it with some bubble wrap, and I'll also just wrap the cardboard in bubble wrap as well. So I'm literally just gonna add a layer of this on the bottom of the box. Some people also use heat mats, which can be really, really great, to be honest, especially if you've got very sensitive tropical plants like caladiums that are really sensitive to lower drops in temperature. With this snake plant, it's fairly robust, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. This one's also going to be hand delivered, so I know that the box won't be thrown about too much. Let's have another houseplant confession whilst I bubble wrap. Number three. Confession. I invite myself round to friends' places on pretense of catching up, but really I just want to see if they're taking proper care of the plants I've given them. I love it. To be fair, whenever I'm at a friend's house, I will always check on their plants. So I'm just gonna lightly wrap this in bubble wrap as well. This is eco-friendly bubble wrap. During warmer months, I really wouldn't worry about this at all. I usually literally will just do the cardboard wrap, but at this time of year, it's good to make sure that it stays warm. And stick it there. Confession, I've got loads of fake plants that I've told my friends are real because I don't want them to know that I kill all my plants. Now I can never let them see them up close. I would suggest maybe replacing them with real plants or coming clean. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. We've all killed some plants in our time. So obviously at the moment, this doesn't look particularly pretty. If this isn't a gift, you can probably pop it in the box, surround it with some kind of, I always use eco-fill, but brown paper, and that should arrive just fine. But as it's almost Christmas, I'm gonna make this one look a bit prettier. I'm just cutting a strip of brown paper. And again, I'm gonna cut it the same length as the little cardboard tube. Now, I always like to leave the bottom, so the pot end, open, just so that the roots of your plant can essentially breathe a bit better on their journey. But what I will do with the top half of the plant is I will make a little disc to sit on top and write on there that that's the top, so that people know which end to open first. I just take an offcut of the brown paper, or you can use the cardboard, and I'm just going to mark the circle around the bottom and cut it out. So you could write a gift message on here if you wanted to. I'm gonna put my gift message in a separate envelope. I'm just gonna write very clearly on here that this is the top. Whilst I'm doing this, I might read another one. I've watered my Scindapsus with wine before. What a waste of wine. And that surely cannot be good for your plants. I feel like I've actually read somewhere something about plants being watered with alcohol before. I can't imagine that's a good thing, but I've definitely heard something about that. I will always just put a little bit of sellotape at the bottom just so that when they pick it up to take it out of the box, the outer wrapping doesn't slip off it and just stays secure. Can you see? I've just put a piece of sellotape over the bottom so that all stays nice and sturdy. Another really important thing to say is if you're sending a plant as a gift to someone, if you're going to be sending it like a week before Christmas or at a time where there's loads of delays, make sure they know to open it more or less right away. I always suggest if you're wanting to give a plant to someone as a gift, having it sent to yourself first and then caring for the plant for a few days or weeks until you give it to that person, because otherwise it's going to naturally just start to deteriorate without any light. The last thing I do to kind of make it nice and Christmassy is just add a ribbon. There we go. Finally, when I package it into the box, especially again with the cold weather, I will put my plant in the middle, not tall enough, and then I will surround it with something that's going to give it a bit more padding. This time of year I like to use eco-fill, which is this stuff, like the little biodegradable peanuts, just because in the same way as the bubble wrap, they help to insulate the plant as well as protect it. I always tend to put a little care pack in with all of my plants as well, so that when somebody gets it, they don't have to try and guess everything it needs. It's all there for them. I keep forgetting to read these out now, so I'm going to do a couple. Here's another confession. I paused and rewound my 1-year-old's nursery rhyme TV show so that I could point out a monstera in the background of one of the songs to my toddler, who did not care at all. Whenever I'm watching TV, I will always notice plants in the background, probably way more than anyone else, and I was like, oh yes, yeah, love it. Let's do one more. I told my husband I spent the £100 he gave me on our food shop, but really £40 of that went on plants. Shh. Very naughty. I'm not saying anything. So that is the gist of packing up the plants. It will hold that in really, really well, so you'll be able to, your plant won't move about, and hopefully it should arrive safe and sound. Confession, I'm guilty of throwing away my kids' old artwork and other knickknacks to make more space for plants. I don't think that's so bad, is it? Everyone needs a bit of a clear out from time to time. I've taken cuttings from plants in the garden centre before. That is technically stealing. I'm not saying anything. I really hope this video was useful and you're feeling more confident now about sending out plants as gifts this Christmas. If it was, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more weekly plant videos. Make sure you're following us on social media, Instagram @The Jungle Haven, Facebook The Jungle Haven. Have a lovely Christmas everyone, and stay tuned for more weekly plant videos.